Welcome to the Fruit Heights City Council meeting. It is being held in the City Hall, the Fruit Heights City Office Building, located at 910 South Mountain Road. My name is John Pullman. I'm the mayor of the City of Fruit Heights, and I'd like to welcome all of you here this evening. Thank you for being in attendance. We are going to start off with a Pledge of Allegiance. It's going to be led by Gary Anderson and an opening ceremony by Brandon Green.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads before thee this evening to give thee thanks. We're grateful for the chance that we have to meet together as city officials and residents of Fruit Heights City, and ask that thy blessings be upon us this night as we discuss the needs and the projects that we have, that we are working on. We ask that we might be able to be honest as we discuss these things, and we make decisions that are in the best interest of the community as a whole. We're thankful for our freedoms that we enjoy and for those that serve in the capacities that they do, and for their willingness to serve. We're also grateful for our residents and for the insight that they provide to us and the feedback that we receive. We ask that thou would continue to bless us. We ask that we might receive some moisture for the purpose of filling our reservoirs and providing the water that we will need in the upcoming months. Again, we're grateful for all that we have, and to say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Brandon. Eileen. Make it be known that Eileen is here. We haven't done roll call yet. Sorry, go ahead, roll call, 1.2.
Councilmember Diane Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Gary Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Florence Sadler.
Here.
Councilmember George Ray.
Here.
Councilmember Eileen Moss.
Here.
Mayor John Pullman.
Here. Thank you. We're going to move over to item number 1.3, which is City Council training, which is going to be done by Diane Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the difficult things about municipal government in Utah is determining what form of government a particular city or town is operating under. We have a League of Cities and Towns handbook, and this quote is from there. I'm going to quote a little bit more from it. The traditional form of government that persisted since territorial times was government by committee, commissions, boards, or councils, varied in number of members depending on the era, law, and population of the municipality. Almost always there was a chief officer, usually called a mayor, but past times they were also called town presidents. Continuing, in 1975, only in 1975, the Forms of Municipal Government Act provided for forms of government known as council mayor and council manager. The council manager optional form had an elected legislative body, which then hired a professional executive officer, which is the city manager. End quote. As stated in our handbook, it's important for us to understand how a particular, and specifically our particular city, is organized under the law. Fruit Heights City has a 6-council form, 5 elected city councilors, and 1 elected mayor. Okay, the handbook continues. The mayor in a 6-member council form of government, while a member of the council, does not vote except in case of a tie. The mayor is the chair and presides over all meetings of the council. All municipal councils are the legislative body of the city or town. The Utah Supreme Court has defined legislative powers as policy-making powers, the authority to make laws. Individual members of a council have at least one thing as a matter of right, and that is their right to vote as a member of the council. A council, acting as a group, has the right to set policy for the city or town and control the finances of the city or town, end quote. Our duties are originally outlined by the Utah State Legislature in Title I of the Utah Municipal Code, Chapter 3B, Section 303. And our responsibilities are fundamentally basic and regulated by law. And sometimes I think as civic leaders, we hope to be able to fix everything that our city needs. And we wish we could have the unlimited funds to do so. But by remembering what we were elected to do will help us to make the important and appropriate decisions.
Wow. Excellent. Thank you so much, Diane.
And our next council training will be from Flo.
Flo? Excellent. Perfect. So just as a quick overview, we try to take 3 minutes at every council meeting to just give an overview and have a council training so that we understand and remember and know our responsibilities as a city council member. Item number 2 is a conflict of interest. Does anyone on council have anything they need to declare? And then now item number 3 is public comment period. This is the time we set aside in every one of our city council meetings for residents to present anything to city council. Does anyone have anything they would like to present this evening to city council? Not seeing or hearing anything, we're going to move on to item number 4, which is a presentation from the Youth City Council. And for the recorder, would you just mind stating your name?
I'm Hannah Williams, and so for the Youth City Council, we had local official days at the state capitol, and it was attended on January 19th by 7 of the Youth City Council members and 3 advisors. And it's where the Youth City Councils for around the state attend, and we have had an opportunity to create and submit new flag state ideas. We also had Councilman George Ray attend our February meeting, and he introduced himself and presented his background. 10 Youth City Council members and 2 advisors will be attending the annual State Youth City Council Conference at Utah State University in Logan, March 17th through the 19th. And our annual blood drive will take place in the City Hall basement on Wednesday, April 13th from 3 to 8 p.m. Advertising will be done on our social media and through the City Ridge Runner. The Easter egg hunt will take place on Saturday, April 16th at 10 o'clock a.m. And 3 of our Youth City Council members are on the committee for the Get Healthy Utah program. And the Youth City Council has adopted another project in conjunction with the Fruit Heights City family in collecting shoes. The goal is 10,000 shoes, and boxes will be placed around the city, and the Youth City Council members will assist with collection.
Wow. Hannah, do you guys have anything going on?
I don't think so, just a little bit.
So with the Easter egg hunt, you said that was April 16th
April 16th, yes.
at 10 a.m. Is the church next door helping out with that?
We are currently asking. We don't know at the moment.
Okay.
But we have someone asking and checking in with them.
Let me know if you need help. I've got contact to Pastor Kraft. He's a really good guy, really good friend of mine. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Is there anything that we can help you with?
Not at the moment.
Excellent.
I know.
Thank
Can I
you.
ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, Flo.
Yes.
I'd like to know what you learned up at the Capitol.
We mostly learned the basic concepts of flag designs, and one of the major things they talked about was that it needs to be simple and it needs to be something like a child could draw from memory. So we mostly focused on redesigning the flag, and they gave us opportunities to look through some ideas and create some of our own ideas.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yes, thank you.
Moving on to item number 5.1, which is review, discuss, approve, deny the fiber cable franchise agreement. Brandon, that is you.
So we have, let me just pull it up really quick while we're waiting. Let me just refresh your memory as we pull up the agreement. As you remember, recently, the cities of Kaysville and Fruit Heights were awarded a grant to install fiber into the city. This fiber that's being installed is for city purposes. It's not fiber that will be provided to residents. However, as fiber is being installed, there will be an opportunity for residential fiber to be installed along with this fiber. So what this agreement does is allows for the fiber to be installed within the city's streets and rights of way. And that's what we're
So
discussing. We've had the franchise agreement before you earlier. Was it January? I think in January you saw the draft, and that same draft is in front of you with maybe a couple of changes.
And just as a point of clarification, that this franchise agreement is very similar to the franchise agreement that we have with Comcast, that we have with CenturyLink, that we have with all the providers that provide residential
Dominion,
services.
Rocky Mountain Power, all of those service providers have a franchise agreement with the city.
And just because we approve this franchise agreement for cable or fiber optic, doesn't mean that that residents have to use that company, that another fiber optic company could come through at any time and ask for a franchise agreement.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, they can continue to use whatever service provider they're using. This is just another option for them.
Great. Excellent. So council, have you had a chance to review that franchise agreement, and are there any discussions that you'd like to bring up? Yes, Flo.
I have a question on the first page at the end where it's number 3. How it says, any overages in cost will result in the reduction of Fruit Heights fiber legs in various areas. What's the likelihood of that happening, do you think? Overages that would result in the reduction of our fiber legs?
Which,
Number
That's-
3 at the bottom of the first page.
yeah, that's the Kaysville Fruit Heights franchise agreement.
Am I
with
looking at the
Kaysville.
wrong thing? Oh, okay. So where is this other one?
And thank you again, Kaysville, for being here to answer questions and for all your help in putting this together, Brandon. You've been really nice.
Sorry, I'm just trying to. It's up that's the agreement, right? You've got up? Okay.
I thought it was a well-written agreement.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The agreement, like was mentioned, it's not word for word like other agreements. But this agreement has been used in several other cities for the purpose of fiber. I spoke with Dave, who's here tonight. He represents Connext. Did I say that right? There was a couple of questions that came up. And one of those questions was, will the fiber be run overhead, or could the fiber be run overhead? My initial response back to that question was, no, it's going to be bored. I further was educated on the fact that there's 3 options that Connext would use: boring, overhead, and micro trenching. Because of the soil conditions that exist in Fruit Heights, it may be difficult for them to bore in areas due to rock, so they may end up going overhead. In areas where they can't go overhead, they would do the micro trenching.
And what is a micro? Can you give a quick overview of a micro trench?
It's actually in the road itself, and it's usually about whatever equipment happening from the cement. And it's usually 1.5 inches or so wide, about 12 to 18 inches deep. And so we actually come through with a micro trenching machine. It's extremely commonly used now. And again, that's our last resort. We prefer more and do overhead if possible. But then we come through and we fill that back up with a low fill. And then the surface becomes impacted in. Again, as you mentioned, that's what we do if there's like solid rock through the neighborhood or something like that. It's impassable any other way.
So it's more solid rock, not the big, just
If
rock.
it's really, really bad cobble, we might end up using it in the same place. That's the kind of thing though, where we work with the public works, and we probably want to get your approval for that section. And if the city doesn't want us to do it, we just won't do that area.
So with your build out that you've been doing in Kaysville, how many overhead have you done? How much micro trenching have you done?
Our overhead percentage is usually about 20%, don't anticipate doing any micro trenching until further to the east. We don't know what percentage we'll hit until we start drilling those areas.
Is there a reason that you may expect to hit that here?
We're next to the mountain.
Okay.
Anytime the closer you get to the mountain, the more gravel, rock, and that those types of substances you're gonna run into throughout the city.
So a lot of it's alluvial fan, very nice. That's why the orchards grew here, is because it's not solid rock. It's dirt that's come down, so.
And we will happily not micro trench. We've got, like I said,
And we would happily not have them go overhead too.
So is preferred to go boring, right?
boring our preferred method, but again, in a lot of scenarios, overhead does make sense. So we do both. And it from like it doesn't change your speed, it doesn't change anything. That's actually an agreement we have in place with Rocky Mountain Power when we do the overhead. So we set up the infrastructure the same, and we actually have just as many hits by third parties on our underground as we do our area. And so we build, most of what we build with rings of redundancy. So either way, for the most part, everyone can stay up anyway.
Okay.
And adding another provider onto aerial doesn't make much of a visual difference.
Okay.
So, question.
Yeah.
As you're making those lines across, do you just follow what's being done that's already there? I'm assuming you're not putting any cable down that hasn't already had utilities put through it, right? So you could drive around and say, there's no overhead here, so we must bore.
Yeah, it really depends. Again, with aerial, like we have to follow the National Electrical Code compliance. And so if another provider is taking up all the space, that whole area becomes underground by default because we can't go, we don't want to go against the regulations when we stay. And so if you're asking, if we only go where other people have gone, no, we consider ourselves city builders. We want to build like a city. So I know this is kind of a joint project and infrastructure, but when we franchise the city, we intend to build everything, even if no one's built there.
And do you have any problems sharing the right of way with other providers that are already in it?
If possible, I mean, you can run out of space sometimes, and again, that's us working with your public works department. So we try to go in the right way where possible, and then sometimes if there's space for the city to leave their space, we might move into the public utility easement section. Or instead of being the PUE, we might move into the right of way section with the city. And so again, every scenario is different. It's stuff we're constantly working through as we're building, and we plan the entire city out once we franchise, and it would be amazing if everything works out the way we put it on our plans, but it never does.
What's your time frame?
So from the time we franchise, we usually spend about between 3 to 5 months planning out the entire city. We have to plan the whole thing before we start building, and then we usually start engaging with marketing and things like that too. If we're franchising pretty soon, you guys will fit within a 2-year plan in the city.
So how soon will our city areas be online, like Nichols Park, or where we're hoping to get some cameras and whatnot in?
So everything, because of the nature of the way we're doing it, so in order to get the ARPA funds, we bid it an extremely reduced cost because we anticipated us building our infrastructure while we're building the city infrastructure too.
Mhm.
And the next nearest bidder was significantly more expensive if you saw that. And so that makes our time frames a little bit different. So for the entire project, we put the scope within that same 2 years because we want to be building out all the homes as we're going across those areas.
Oh,
And that's what we're doing.
so you'll just work your way through and get the side roads as you come down Mountain Road then?
Yeah, and sometimes we'll do, it depends on what makes sense logistically, sometimes we will do this massive backhaul. It just really depends on our plans, the way the city layout is, and what we're going to do. We do prep, even if we do that backhaul system, we prep the whole city for fiber to the home wall.
Interesting.
Wow,
Thank you.
that's great.
I have a question.
Jeff Euler is our city planner.
Thank you.
Can you take a microphone?
Oh, if you propose to go overhead no overhead power lines or any overhead utilities in that area, what does your overhead look like?
You know, we don't put poles in. So we're only going to be using existing infrastructure. If Rocky Mountain Power doesn't have something, we're not planning to come.
So if it's an area there's nothing, you're not going.
We're not going to do it.
Okay, all right, that was my question.
Because there are some neighborhoods in the city that do not have overhead power.
Several,
Several.
most of them.
Most of the newer ones.
Yeah. So you won't be, just to reiterate, you're not going to be dropping poles in the ground.
We don't want to add. Again, we want to be as minimalistic as possible in our build. Our cabinets are relatively small, and we only usually need one per roughly 1,000 or 1,500 homes.
Really?
And everything-
So we'll use two.
It's that.
They're not big. They're 4 feet tall by 3 feet by
And where do you play those? Where are those placed?
half the planning. That's going to be in your public utility easement location again. And then we try to select a place that's not going to interfere with residents. So if there's a public somewhere in there, we'll try to choose a spot like that. If it's, even though we technically would have the right to put it in front of almost anybody's home, we still try to put it on the side yard, by a fence, or we're really conscientious about having it work well.
So we would be able to see a plan before build out begins. Okay, great. Excellent. Do we have any further questions? And I would entertain a motion.
The only other thing that I would bring to your attention is, and I talked to Dave about this, like any other franchise or any other utility, if the city goes in and let's say, for instance, there's a power pole, we're doing a road project and the pole happens to be in the way, that pole will be moved at the expense of the utility provider. So if we go in and have to do a road project, maybe we widen the road or we install a water line, I don't know what the case might be. The fiber, if it happens to be in our way, that fiber will be moved at the utility provider's expense. So the city won't be spending money to move that utility,
Thank you,
Would
Brandon.
we know,
as long as it's in the right of way.
But that's
would we know that in advance? Would you map that out so that that wouldn't be like a surprise thing? Okay.
Yeah.
but that's similar to all utilities.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Then I would.
That is.
Yeah.
Great.
So Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the franchise agreement between Fruit Heights City and Connect Networks LLC.
Great. So I have a motion on the table from Eileen. Do I have a second?
I second that.
I have a second from George. Any further discussions? Any further comments? All in favor of approving the fiber franchise agreement? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
I withheld because, as you can tell, I looked at the wrong paper.
Thank you for that clarification. Item 5.2 has been tabled until March 1st. I think we need to gather some more information before that comes forward.
We just have to have a public hearing, public comment period on this. It's the Stormwater Coalition Agreement, and just want to give the public a chance to comment if there's any. So
Great. Item number 6 is January 4th. It's not the 4th, it's the 11th. 18th. Sorry, that's my fault. City Council meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review them? I
did and made a couple corrections yesterday. It's just in there, just like an of or something dumb.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion.
So just a quick question or comment. In the minutes, we were talking about the franchise agreement being approved. And in the minutes, we indicate that it was unanimously approved, but Florence abstained. So can we really say that it was unanimous if Florence abstained?
That's
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm just asking the
that's
question.
a good
That's
catch.
the franchise agreement
That's the
So-
with
Kaysville.
Kaysville.
Yeah,
Where
I'm
did-
talking about the meeting
Yeah.
minutes from
That was
last
correct,
meeting.
right? That was
It
Oh,
says
I didn't know she abstained. Did you
she
abstain
did.
from
Yeah,
that as well?
she abstained, and it says she abstained. So this is what it says. And it was approved unanimously, except that Florence Sadler abstained
Yeah.
from voting on this matter.
Well, an abstain is a no.
The people that voted, it was unanimous for the people who voted.
Yes,
Well,
that is written correctly.
But if you abstain, that technically
no.
counts as a no.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to understand is, can we really in the meeting minutes indicate that it was approved
I don't-
unanimously?
I
I'm
think
not
you're right,
sure.
Gary.
I think we need to just
I think you're
have a
right,
quick
Gary.
discussion about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. An abstain is a no. So,
It still passes, correct?
Right.
Yeah, it
still
still
passes,
passes. That's not in question. It's just whether
We need a different
we
word.
all,
can-
all
we
I
can
want to
let the
do is make
minutes-
sure that the meeting minutes are accurate.
We'll let the meeting minutes reflect that, the correction to the vote of no.
Great.
And
Due
by the
to
way,
the
great
abstaining
job on
of
the
the
meeting minutes.
vote.
again.
Yes. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve these minutes?
I move that we approve those minutes.
I have a
I'll
motion
second
from
it.
Flo, a second from Diane. All in favor of approving the minutes? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Consent calendar, the check register, and the budget report. Eileen, do you have anything to report on either of those?
everything is as it should be.
Great.
I went through, I know there's some things that always come up in the consent calendar that you look at it and you say, what is that? But yeah, shades of gray and broken arrow are really things that we spend money on.
That's true.
I did have a question. What were the multiple 2500s? That just seemed really weird.
So we, on building permits, we collect a fee of $1,500 for stormwater and $1,000 for a completion bond. When the home receives its final inspection and everything is approved, those bonds are then issued back to the permit, the person that pulled the permit for the home. So those are monies that we hold to ensure that the project gets complete.
This
And
says
we
like
refund
Best
it.
Buy.
Huh?
Best Buy was one of them. Best Buy. There's multiple. Yeah, Best Buy. At least I think it was Best
It's
Buy.
got to be the
Maybe.
name of a contractor or an LLC, but
Okay.
we didn't
All right.
we didn't buy anything
I-
from Best Buy and return it. So you get some pretty different.
In fact,
Names.
I'm going to do that. I'm going
Names.
to create a business.
It's Best Buy Auto.
Best Buy.
Oh,
Auto.
okay.
And not only that, but sometimes people who are builders who are, and people put these bonds in their business name.
Yeah. So you'll see
Nice.
a lot of different things, but that's what those
That's-
$2,500 were
Perfect.
bond releases back to developers or builders for homes construction.
Super. Thanks
Thank
for
you, George.
clarification.
Informational items, city council tonight. We have planning commission next week. Are you going to be able to attend, Diane?
Yes.
Excellent. And then we have March 1st city council meeting. Moving on to item number 9. City council reports. I don't have anything to report other than I held a cottage meeting this evening. Flo was able to attend. We had a section of the city that is concerned about traffic, the amount of traffic with construction, getting all forced down one road. Speeds were of great concern. We had been doing a traffic study for the last 14 days, and we were able to present the data from that. It's hard because psychologically they've lived there for a very long time, and they're used to speeds and are used to traffic. And when construction occurs, it forces and reroutes all the traffic down specific roads, and it's a psychological challenge. It's hard. So there was a lot of, I'm going to use the word emotion, because they want their concerns heard, and they want to see some changes. But as a city, we're not in the middle of changing speed signs, stop signs right in the middle of construction until we know how traffic patterns are going to be, and we can do further study and further analysis. So that is one that we're going to keep a pretty close eye on. I think Flo is pretty aware of that section of the city, and she will be able to help us understand if something needs to be happening. But we heard back from UDOT that they are doing the Lloyd Road extension, so the section of the city is going to maintain closed until Memorial Day, and they're going to do that whole Lloyd Road on ramp, off ramp kind of.
In the long run, it gets a lot easier for folks in that area to come out and make that left turn or
Yes.
get onto.
Yes, it was in their plan, but they're planning on doing it next year. I think, Darren, you can talk a little more about it in your report, but they decided last week that they were going to, or a week and a half ago, they were going to do it. And they're just going to plow through to do it instead of patching it with new asphalt and then coming back next winter and doing that whole project. So they're pushing through. They've made a lot of improvements. They've plowed through there. So that's my report. City council report. George.
Nothing to report at the moment. We attended Youth CD Council 2 weeks ago, and we got to know the youth a little bit.
Great.
It looks like they have a lot going on.
They do. That was awesome. That was a very, very nice report. Thank you. Diane.
I have a few things. I'm glad we have a short meeting. Brandon, can I ask you to pull this up for us online?
Do you already know what it is?
No, secret message. While he's doing that, I just wanted to report that Planning Commission did pass the rezone that we talked about, Lot 21, to make a clean property that was requested by City Council. They approved it with the legal description that needed to be part of the approval was pending. I just wanted to report on that.
So that'll be coming to the council?
Next council meeting.
Yeah, and that they are working on they've got a second review of the ADU ordinance, so they're working on that. We'll hope that they push that through here at the next meeting.
Let me just make sure, is it HB6?
Oh, HBO.
Oh,
HBO. I'll
So-
explain that in just a minute.
so how do I guess my question is, I don't know what I'm,
It's a trailer. Yes.
oh,
And then I had a question on did we get any leads from the sheriff on the car thefts? He said that they had somebody,
I think that those are still pending
Are they?
investigation. When they're doing investigations, they usually won't leak out
okay.
much
All right. I didn't know if
information.
there was anything on that to follow up. And then this is a trailer for just a minute and a half, but I wanted to, I heard a forum today by a couple of journalists, James and Deborah Fallow, who did an interesting thing that I thought would be valuable for us as a council to view or to be familiar with. Their story is that they 5 years ago loaded themselves into an airplane and traveled through the United States and visited small cities and talked about what was going on there and what was happening there. And I thought it related to us in our small town. And they have written a book called Our Town's 100,000-Mile Journey into the Heart of America. They wrote a book, and then HBO did a documentary on it last year. And there's a minute-and-a-half trailer that I thought would be good for us to see because at the end of their article, they said, true change and renewal within the United States will begin at the community level. And they talked about stories about, it's just a rare hope and view of the good news for America and for us as a small town. So if we can, is it going to work?
So if we play a video through here, we're going to get a lot of feedback and it's not going to come
Okay.
across very clear.
Well,
But what I would do is I would invite people, and I'd be happy if people want to hang around after
Okay.
and see this, but I would invite people to go to YouTube and
Well,
search.
I just Googled the James and Deborah Fallow. It's called Our Town,
Okay.
100,000-Mile Journey into the Heart of America.
Okay.
And that it's a documentary, but if we want to see it afterwards as a council, I just thought it would be a great thing for us as a community and to maybe think about applying some of the ideas that they suggest, especially for engaging the youth to feel a part of the community, and also for us to involve people civically, either as in arts and all of the things that we do to help create hope. I mean, it's quite a vision. So thank you. Sorry, it didn't work.
Thank you, Diane.
That's all I have.
Gary, do you have anything to report? Eileen,
We're good.
great. Flo,
We've been having our Sunday evening radio checks, but one of the radios is just failing. And so I don't know if this is the place to bring that up, but we might need to look into some new radios.
I'm in the process of buying new radios. We've got some money available in the Emergency Preparedness Fund. Mary Monson made me aware of her radio. We can't get batteries for those radios anymore. They're just too hard to get. So the time has come when we need to get some radio upgrades.
Thank
So
you.
we're in the process.
that is a budgeted item, so that should be able to come out of that budget, correct?
Yes.
Great. Jeff Euler, do you have anything to report? In the microphone.
Sorry. Just that we're getting closer to moving forward with the Rocklock Ridge Estate subdivision. And so you'll probably see that on your agenda here in the near future for preliminary plat approval.
Have we been able to discuss all the utilities and water issues up there? Stormwater.
We've discussed and are in the process of continuing to discuss and work through some of the issues. But there are still a number of things that need to be resolved.
Great.
Those are things that can be resolved, before final approval of things. But yeah, we're continuing to have discussions with those providers.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff.
I've got a question for you, maybe even Darren and Brandon on some of that stuff. There's a trench or a new path being dug. Is that for a pipe going, or is that bringing it to grade? What is that?
I didn't ask them today. I seen that they were digging it out. I was going to go talk to them and
Oh, okay.
They
I'm just-
shouldn't be laying any pipe because they don't have approval to lay anything.
It seems like it matches the other side because it was like there's a 10-foot elevation difference.
Stakes for the road, the elevation of the road going up, so they can take that material out. I did see those stakes, and I didn't read what cuts were on there.
Okay,
But I know they were all cuts of like 3 feet, 4 feet.
Yeah.
I seen that it was deeper than that coming through, so I'm not sure.
It does look like it kind of brings it to a flat thing, which is what I was trying to point out to him, is like, you look at that and it's like, but anyways, another question is what is our limit on how high a retention wall can be in our city? Do we have any limits to that?
It has, anything over 4 feet requires engineering.
Oh,
So
but-
it will have to be engineered.
So we don't have necessarily a height limit on a retention wall. Okay. Just asking. Thanks.
Great. Jeff, anything else? No. Darren, thank you for being here, by the way.
So, I'll talk about Lloyd Road first. I've worked with UDOT since they closed it to the water line to just finish that, so we all done at one time. Their plan was actually to open it in February for about a month and a half and then shut it down again. And so we just went back and forth and decided, let's just leave it closed, get it finished, and we can have it finished in May instead of having it all tore up all summer and not having it finished and dealing with that. So a lot of that push over there was from me with the contractor stuff. Let's just get that part finished and get that resolved, so it's something that's not dragging on. So the residents are upset that I can push it.
No, I think it's actually really smart, and I'm glad you pushed it as hard as you did.
And then as far as the rest of the 89 project, they're still working, digging out for the Nichols overpass. They put the sound wall in for a lot of that, as you see
you probably heard. Still working on streetlights and all those things out there at the intersection, the overpass, and those kind of things. Curb and sidewalk is starting to go in the areas, so you'll see some of those areas starting to be finished out. I just wanted to also make you aware of the Weaver Basin project that will be starting next week on Mountain Road. I've talked to some residents, and as we've been out blue staking and just in the area, trying to have them understand Weaver Basin is just not irrigation. They provide culinary water too, and this is a culinary water line.
What side of the road is that going to go down?
It will go down the east side of Mountain Road.
Okay.
Right next to their line that goes down there right now.
Okay.
So we're trying to keep it within their line and the curb and gutter. So within 6 feet of the curb and gutter all the way down the side.
Is this on the east side of 89?
Yes, this is on the east side of 89 down Mountain Road. So it'll go from Terrace Drive and all the way over to Mahogany is where it'll be completed. They're putting line in from Farmington down Mahogany over the top of that trail stuff. And so it'll tie back into that new line. So we have talked, and with their traffic control plan, we are going to try to maintain travel in both directions. We're going to restripe Mountain Road to shift everybody over. And Brandon and myself and Weaver Basin are kind of putting a little video together for residents to see on YouTube and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So if there's questions, hopefully we can answer some of those or give a direction to answer it.
That's cool.
And then we'll also talk about some of our projects that are coming up that we're trying to get ready to do that.
So Starley Taft was curious as to why her place was blue staked.
So everything was blue staked all the way up and down Mountain Road. I talked to her today, and she just said, "Oh, it's just my lot," and then they left.
They just
they got hers done and just hadn't finished.
It was the weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so, it's a big project. It'll take a couple months is what they're trying to shoot for, like the end of May is what I heard.
And what happens to the parking on Mountain Road during this time?
That's another thing we'll talk about is, people have driveways, parking your driveway. The other thing we need to talk to about our residents is, and that road is used a ton for exercise and walking up and down, but it's also a construction zone, so we need to be mindful of that as we're going through there as a resident. It's safe for them and safe for the contractor.
Is the sidewalk going to be closed down during construction?
We'll close down when they're through the sections there.
Okay, great.
So,
The sidewalk will be closed.
yeah, because they'll have all their
Pipe and
right there,
equipment.
swinging around and all that kind of stuff, and they'll be right next to the sidewalk. So,
Okay.
so that will be closed in those sections.
Okay, good to know.
Thanks for the update. Brandon, do you have anything?
We are, like, just going back on what Darren said, we are working on the bidding of the projects that we've got coming up, waterline projects. It's going to be a busy year for us and construction projects, and there's going to be many residents throughout the city that are going to be inconvenienced, not just because of Highway 89, but because of the projects that we need to do as well. So as we get those projects up, we will make sure that we provide the information to the residents so that you're aware of what's going on.
Are we doing the water projects, waterfall areas, that 1350 area?
We won't be doing 1350, but
1350 is all done. That water line's been replaced all the way down. But we are looking to do Waterfall Way, Shady Lane,
Grand Oaks,
Is that
Cherry
the
Lane.
is that the grant?
Jost.
Is that the grant project?
That's the grant money.
And are we trying to complete that all within this year? With the stuff with the grant?
we're going to bid it all. I don't know if we'll get it all complete because
Okay.
it's a big project.
Okay.
We kind of looked at it a couple different ways, and we talked to some different contractors. And they're saying that they'll give us a better price if they can extend it out a little bit farther than trying to.
So the grant doesn't force us to
Yeah.
pile it in one year.
Yeah, we're not have to pile all at one time to get
So if we
Okay.
can do
2024.
a session this year and then another one in the spring next year,
Okay.
they said they'd give us better prices if we didn't.
That's surprising.
All the way right here in the
That's
summer.
almost surprising because it usually, I don't
Usually
know,
the
whatever.
bigger is
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
They're busy.
Interesting.
So we'll break it out into sections on the bidding. That
Cool.
was the other thing you suggested. We could probably get more contracts.
Awesome. Thanks.
When you do your public relations, it makes me think of the old days when the sign went, your tax dollars at work. Here we're talking about your tax and grant dollars at work. I think that's a good thing to remind people. When they're inconvenienced, we're doing the work, right? To keep our streets and roads and everything going. So I think that'll be
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
I don't have anything unless the council has a question for me or something that has come up that you need
No,
answers about. Okay.
it's great. That is the last thing on our agenda, so I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion from Gary.
I second that.
Gary, George for second. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 That was unanimous, 7:47. Thank you so much for coming, guys. We appreciate everyone coming tonight.
Thank you for attending.